8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is Liam Hendricks, and you're watching Crosstown, Crosstalk on the Barroom Network.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline. Its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is Crosstown Crosstalk.
Hello, and welcome to another very exciting episode of Crosstown Crosstalk presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am so stoked to be here with you today. Couple reasons. First off, let's go back in time. We are in the early stages of August. The White Sox, they stink. It's August 1st. They're sellers. On the day of the trade deadline, Lucas Giolito is already gone. He's a Los Angeles Angel. Get to that in a minute. Lance Lynn, traded. Gone. See ya. Joe Kelly went with Lynn to Los Angeles. Reynaldo Lopez went with Giolito to the Angels. Okay, get Kendall Graveman, send him to the Astros. Got back some good prospects. I like prospects. I like prospects in every sport. I love college football. I watch college hockey. I watch junior hockey. I love college baseball. I like prospects across all sports. It's fun. You never know what prospects are going to turn into in the pros, which I'm fully aware of as a prospect guy myself. But I do think if your team stinks and you're going to lose guys for nothing, you might as well get some prospects. They might not hit, might not work, but might as well try, right? Okay, fine. I also agree with the Cubs not selling. For them, like, what is some prospects going to do for you right now? Nothing. You keep Bellinger. Okay, I get both sides. They're some people, prospect lovers are right sometimes, and prospect haters are right sometimes. You got to be like me, like both. Then you get to August 1st, the actual day of the trade deadline. Trade Jake Burger. What? Jake Burger has like 4 years left of control. It might even be more than that. He's young. He's vibrant. He's a good hitter. The White Sox aren't even fully maximizing his fully capabilities, as we're seeing with, what he's doing in Miami. It's 5 years that he has left. Okay. It's a lot. It's about as much as you would control a prospect for, right? Okay. It's not like he was Lance Lynn or Giolito, gone next year, mid-30s. Giolito's not his mid-30s, but Lynn is. Different situations. Jake Burger's not fitting in either of those categories. You trade him, whatever, dude. Okay. Then you have a series with the Chicago Cubs at Guaranteed Rate Field. The Chicago Cubs, got to beat the Cubs at least once out of two. You get swept. Okay. Well, the Cubs are really good. The White Sox suck. We get that. We're well aware. And I'm not one of those White Sox fans that go, congratulations on beating a AAA team, like the Cubs fans did when the White Sox smoked them in 20, 21, and 22. That's not how this works. Major League Baseball teams are Major League Baseball teams. You Cub fans be proud that you swept the White Sox. I was proud when we swept your ass in 2021. Okay. Then a little bit goes by. They have a good series against the Yankees. For some reason, the Yankees, they're a dumpster fire this year. The White Sox have torched them. Love it. Love it. But that's not an accomplishment, torching the Yankees. You get to that second series against the Cubs. You win the first game. Oh, good job. Luis Robert Jr. hits one to Pluto in the 8th inning, and the White Sox win. They can win that second game, and for all the dumpster, nasty shit that's happened this season, you can keep the Crosstown trophy. The Cubs got to beat you. You can't tie. They have to beat you to take the Crosstown trophy. You have a lead going into the 9th, and you blow it because you put out the same reliever in a save situation 2 nights in a row. The Cubs, Christopher Morel, walk-off home run. Nasty. Disgusting. I mean, the Cubs fans, they loved it. That you should rub it in my face. I would be rubbing it in yours. I respect the Cubs. I used to despise them. Right now, 2023, I respect them. Good team. Maybe that's just part of growing up. But I want the White Sox to beat their ass when they play them. I think that's fair. I was kind of thinking oh, that'd be cool if Giolito and Lopez went to the Cubs because at least we could watch them, go see them in person maybe one more time. Play in the postseason. Okay, whatever. That didn't happen. Now you lost to them. A week later, you fire Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, but you let them execute the trade deadline. Weird. Don't get it. Why would you let them execute the trade deadline if they weren't part of it? It just makes no sense. You should have got the new guy in here before that. This should have happened in June. What did you learn from the middle of June or even the middle of July? Think of where you were in the middle of July on your little boat with your little Pink Whitney shots and your little twisted teas and your nice little high noons, all delicious stuff. You're drinking that in the lake. What did you learn between then and August that you didn't know? I mean, come on. You fire them, okay? Now it's okay, well, at least there's a breath of fresh air. Don't really get why they waited this long, but Rick Hahn, Kenny Williams, gone. See ya. Kenny Williams, thanks for 2005, pal. Rick Hahn, basically, thanks for nothing. You hope that hope is eternal in that situation. Then the rumors start to come out. Chris Getz, you're going to promote from within? What? No. You're firing Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn. This is a step in the right direction. Okay, whatever. Bob Nightingale, he's always wrong. And then it's one of those things, the White Sox are going to White Sox. They make it seem like they're going to do something, and then all of a sudden they come back and do something even stupider. More stupid. That's the joke. Then there's a shooting at Guaranteed Rate Field. What? Oh, it's not actually a shooting. It's not an act of violence. Somebody didn't actually have a gun and say, I hate you, boom, dead. No, it was an accident. We think it was an accident. Or it came from outside the stadium. There was no aggression in the shooting. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. How do we keep that from happening again? That is first and foremost. But it's just going to prove that this is one of the worst months in White Sox history. 3 days before the shooting, though? Oh, Jerry Reinsdorf is going to sell? Oh, that's great. Oh, they're going to relocate to Nashville. What? It's just one thing after another. That's horrible. Horrible things on the field, horrible things off the field, confusion with security. Jerry Reinsdorf and the Blackhawks and the Bulls have a problem with this company now that handles their security because, none of the teams will take accountability. The White Sox aren't going to take accountability. They'll point the finger somewhere else. It's their fault that the gun managed to find its way in the park. And I warn people who are fans of other teams, whether you be a Cub fan / Sox hater, Guardians fan / Sox hater, be careful when you make fun of the White Sox for gun violence. It could happen at your stadium at any time. Don't pretend like it can't. Everybody should be aware, and this is not funny at all. So you got shootings and relocations and horrible losses to your rivals, Cubs walk-off home runs, firings, bad hirings. They hired Chris Getz. Deal became official yesterday. I think it's time right now that we discuss the Chris Getz hiring by the Chicago White Sox, and there's nobody I'd rather be talking to about the Chicago White Sox hiring of Chris Getz. We're going to get it on with my good friend, South Burbs Hitman co-host, becoming a big part of this show in the meantime as well, Crosstown Crosstalk, my good friend Joe Mandel. Joseph, how you doing?
What's up, Vincenzo?
How you doing, man?
Annoyed by the news, but I mean, I guess we all knew it was going to happen, but nonetheless, it doesn't make it any more fun.
It makes it zero more fun. I can see you've already transitioned to fall with your attire.
Yes, I have.
For those listening to the Spotify, Apple, whatever the H you're listening to, Joe Mandel is wearing all Chicago Bears gear. So, go Bears. We'll talk about the Bears at some point, I'm assuming. Maybe not today, but in general, we will be talking about Das Bears.
Yes.
The beloved hold a special place in both of our hearts. There's no doubt about that. But right now, we're talking about the White Sox. Joe, the White Sox hired Chris Getz, who was a very mediocre / bad player when he was in the big leagues, which that has no indication on how you're going to be as a major league executive or, coach, manager, whatever the case may be. Like Theo Epstein's probably the greatest executive that ever lived. I can't even picture him throwing a baseball. So
Right.
that has little. I do think it's funny when people bring up like his playing ability when it comes like that has nothing to do with it. Theo Epstein was already an executive when if he were a good baseball player, he still would have had 10 years left in his career. Like that's irrelevant. But the one thing Theo Epstein was more than Chris Getz at this age was qualified. And it sounds to me like Chris Getz is extremely unqualified. What are your thoughts about him getting this job as the executive vice president and general manager of the Chicago White Sox, Chris Getz?
Yeah, Vin, I can't help but feel like the White Sox didn't do their due diligence here. I mean, we have the press conference planned for those of you listening to the podcast in the background. And Jerry essentially admitted that he didn't interview anybody else. So, like, you're just going to bring the guy that was under the wings of the guys you had before, and Rick and Kenny. It doesn't make any sense to me, Vin, and especially because he's not qualified to be a GM right now, in my opinion. I mean, he's 40 years old. Not to say that age is the main reason, but he doesn't have enough experience to be a GM. I just don't get the hire. I think Jim Thome would have been more qualified as an internal candidate. And again, I wouldn't have liked that either, but he at least has more time in the front office. So, there's a million other folks it could have been, and I'm pretty sure I would have been happy with any other choice except for Chris Getz. Now, I hope he surprises us, Finn. I hope he goes well above and beyond. I hope he embraces the hate and the doubters, because he even said it himself. Like, he understands that there needs to be a lot of change. He knows that there's a lot that needs to be done, and he's up for the challenge. So more power to Chris Getz. But from Jerry's end, I just don't get the hire, and I don't get Getz backing down, doubling down and saying that Pedro will return next season. I don't get that either.
Sports very much remind me of real life in a lot of ways. Like, there are things that are like it's kind of like a movie. Like, it represents real life even though it's not. Does that make sense? So like my thinking behind that is the last two presidential elections are probably the two most controversial elections in the history of the United States, right? And one side despises the guy who won the last time, and the other side despises the guy who won the time before, probably more than ever in the history of the United States.
Right.
But I think you're a fool if you root for the guy you don't like to succeed. That's just my personal opinion. If you're on the left and you despise Trump and you root for him to fail, you're kind of rooting for yourself to fail. Same thing goes for the right, hating Joe Biden. If you're a White Sox fan and you're rooting for Chris Getz to fail so you can be right, you're an idiot. That makes no sense. We want Chris Getz to be awesome. Neither of us like the hire. Me and you are both, whether it's left or right, depending on whatever, we both hate this hire. He is our president that we hate won the election. Not my GM. Wrong. He is your GM. You have to root for him to succeed. And it's mind-boggling to me, the divide that exists in White Sox land right now. And that's all Jerry Reinsdorf's fault. I can't even think of a I try to make comparables to make people like be entertained and understand things. There's no even real, who's the comparable? You could go to Star Wars and call him the Emperor, and then Chris Getz is Darth Vader. But like, I can't look at that face and call him Darth Vader. He's a good looking man. That is a handsome man right there, Chris Getz. But dude, this is just, I can't recall White Sox Twitter and White Sox land ever being so toxic. And the Chris Getz hire didn't make it any better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and it's unfortunate, Vin, because he's gonna have a long leash as long as Jerry's the majority owner. Coming off of the pile of crap he was dealt with, he's gonna have a long leash, and Getz just, man, I hope he can rise to the occasion and surprise us all, because it would certainly be a movie if he could turn it around and bring the White Sox back to prominence. But there's a lot of culture change that needs to happen. There's a lot of personnel change that needs to happen. And I'm not gonna lie, Vin. You mentioned in the top of the show before I came on, you're talking about Reynaldo and Gio. I thought for sure they were going to put a claim on him and bring him back and sign him long term. And I think that one might have been, one of the moves to kind of get this team back in standing, because that would have been the ultimate move to make a trade some guys and then get them back. But that didn't happen, probably because they were too busy focusing on this crap. But
that, along with, don't you think Reinsdorf is just too cheap? Like, it reminds, like, the Cubs traded Chapman, or the Yankees traded Chapman to the Cubs for Gleyber Torres, and then they got to keep Gleyber Torres, and then brought Chapman back.
Yeah,
and they got to have him too. They got both. Well, the White Sox could have had their cake and eat it too. They chose not to. He's their Guardians. It's a shitty situation. I'm not excited to watch them pitch for the Guards.
No, and now if you're the White Sox and if you knew the Guardians were going to put a claim on him, would you have put a claim?
I don't think Jerry cares. I know that sounds like just such a tuned out answer, but like I am tuned out of being positive. I don't think Jerry cares at all. Yeah, how Jerry's looking at it. Well, the Guardians, they used to be the Indians, but I think that the Minnesota Twins, I think I kind of probably hate them more. And the Guardians, they only trade the Twins by 5 games.
Why do you put a Southern drawl on Jerry Reinsdorf?
It's like me trying to be old. Oh. But then, I think maybe the White Sox, they let the Guardians get Giolito and Lopez. And now those two might help the Guardians catch the Twins. I'd rather the Guardians beat the Twins in the playoffs. Giolito to the Guardians sucks. That is correct, Swift Sports Network. Damn. Who would you rather see win the NL Central or the AL Central? For me, it'd be the Tigers, but the Tigers have no chance. I really hope the Guardians win it. I do.
Yeah, I don't know. The Twins seem to be firing on all cylinders right now. I think they're the team that wins. But I don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the Guardians come push them out. But the Guardians have the better manager. That's for sure. So
I think if I were doing my Mount Rushmore of active managers, Tito might be on the list.
Yeah, I would say that.
Because their roster sucks. It doesn't suck. The White Sox roster sucks. But I agree with Scott. It's what I was saying. Reclaiming your guys after getting prospects for them would have been made the Sox look like geniuses. Very similar to and Chapman went and won the World Series with the Cubs. Nobody shits on that trade. But I'm saying the Yankees were smart. They got Gleyber Torres. He was their second baseman for multiple deep postseason runs, and they got to get Chapman back and then in his prime. Now Chapman sucks. I don't even what team is Chapman on. He's a setup man for. Is it the Rangers? Or it was the Royals for a minute. He's a setup man somewhere. But the point
I have it for you right now.
The point is the White Sox
Rangers,
got, the Rangers. The White Sox got good prospects for Giolito and Lopez. They got good prospects for them. Bush and Edgar Caro. Edgar Caro probably starting catcher next year or the year after. And he has a high ceiling. He could be an all-star type catcher. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm well aware that those things aren't a guarantee, but he has that ceiling. And the Angels just threw them away. That's one team I'd rather be a fan of less than the White Sox. The Angels, without question. But
that team made a dire mistake trying to load up and win with Ohtani and then now they just took a giant L. Not only did they get Ohtani injured, they fall out of the playoff picture. They let these guys go for basically nothing. And they just admit defeat. It's such a bad look for that org.
It is a bad look. 6 players on waivers, 5 got claimed. That means they were good players. Because if you notice, in all sports, this goes in hockey too. Guys get put on waivers and they don't get claimed. I'm like, why? But then you realize guys hardly get claimed. The Angels put 6 guys, 5 of them got claimed. That goes to show that A, the Angels wanted them to get claimed, and B, they were really good players that were on, waivers. Someone in the chat said they wanted the Cubs to get Giolito. That would have been a nice move, but the Guardians, they had an earlier claim. Swift says they needed to trade Ohtani. That is absolutely correct. It probably would have been the biggest haul in the history of Major League Baseball. I think they were saying it would have been like 8 or 9 pieces going back to the Angels for Ohtani. I mean, just absolutely unreal. I couldn't believe Jerry name dropped him, as Ravi points out. Yeah, that was against. He's going to get a fine for that, by the way. I was told by my guy that that is against the CBA to talk about future targets before the season's over. So issues there. The league gave the White Sox permission to not interview a minority for the job because they have such a elite history of hiring minorities. So they were able to just bring their guy. But yeah, Ravi says Hahn was fake Theo too. No, he was not. Don't insult the great Theo Epstein like that. Do not do it. Rick Hahn was not even fake Theo. He wasn't a poor man's Theo. He doesn't even belong in the same sentence. I was talking about the Cubs. The Cubs would have a higher or a worse waiver claim than the Guardians. The White Sox absolutely could have got Giolito back. They chose not to. But Theo Epstein with the Red Sox in his late 20s, early 30s ended a World Series drought there. The Cubs got a bona fide Theo, if anything. So yeah, Rick Hahn, 2 playoff wins as a GM, not series wins, playoff game wins, not even close. Your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, it's not even a conversation for me.
You would have liked that hire though. The White Sox brought in Theo.
That was my ideal hire, but again, that's living in a world where the White Sox are logical
and pigs fly, and
yeah.
I mean, Theo Epstein. That's got to make his ball sack feel huge. He's the one guy. He's the one guy that every single person wants. There's no argument. This corner of White Sox Twitter, you know what corner I'm talking about, if you know what I mean, and us would all agree.
The cesspool, yeah.
Yeah, we would all want Theo. And same thing would apply, name a random team, the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are actually putting together something nice. They're probably not going to end up making the playoffs, but they were way better than people expected. And next year and the year after, that's all looking really bright for them. Every Diamondbacks fan would agree that they would fire their guy right now and bring in Theo right now, and it wouldn't be an argument at all.
Oh, big facts.
That has to make Theo Epstein feel freaking, huge. And as Ravi points out, he flipped 2 curses. Not only did he flip 2 curses, they were both pushing a century. The Cubs actually did get over a century. The Red Sox were right there. And they're major markets, these baseball-heavy places, like the Boston Red Sox, the Chicago Cubs. Those are prominent teams in the history of the league. The Chicago White Sox are that too. People don't like to admit it, but they are. There's been 4 movies made about this damn team. Probably more.
Not enough.
Yeah, not enough for me. But they're the movie team, right? They invented the American League. That's a big deal. And they act like they act like the Florida Marlins in 2023, and it's disgusting. You go back and watch old videos of the White Sox from the 90s, and that stadium's packed. You could just tell they're a meaningful team in this league, and right now they're trash. Sucks.
Yeah, it's trash, no doubt. I'm ready for football season, Vin.
Yeah, football season's right here, man. There was a great game yesterday. I saw the catch from the Minnesota player. My parents are moving into their new house, so I didn't sit down and lock in on the game. We were moving boxes and unpacking shit. I'm staying there for a little bit. It is, it's awesome, but I missed some college football last night. But I did see the highlights. I saw all that. But I can't get over this White Sox stuff, man. I'm sitting here, and I'm I want this team to be good so bad. That's my second team in sports, or not tied for my first team in sports. When they win, when I am invested. Don't you love how they use real hair on that? I did not know that.
And for those of you that are listening to the audio version, I pulled up my Dylan Cease bobblehead that they gave away last weekend when Vinny and I were there. And for the mustache, they put a real, I don't know, it's like a
fur
part
ball.
of a fur ball or a piece of a pipe cleaner or something for the mustache. That's legit. Legit.
I did not know that was going to be a thing. But it was nice. Did you notice I grew my mustache because they were giving away that bobblehead, and I have not shaved it because I'm competing in a wiffle ball tournament tomorrow, and I want to have a mustache for that. I got to clean up the side, which I will, but needed the mustache for that too. So
Yeah, dude. Does Katie like it?
I think so.
I mean,
I
how
think
could you
so.
not, right?
It's kind of sexy a little bit, right?
Sure.
You're like, I don't care to comment on that.
I like a good mustache. I'll leave it at that.
For sure. But yeah, this thing sucks. I want them to be good so bad. I can't believe that this is where we're at talking about the White Sox. Joe, the Cubs seem like they don't stop believing, and they're firmly in a playoff spot now.
Don't do that. That makes me think of 05. But then again,
I was not referencing the song. I swear I would never do that. That is the White Sox.
I know.
No disrespect to the Cubs. Honestly, that's just not your song. You don't get to claim it.
They got to pick a song, though. They should.
They should. They have their win song that people love. I hate it, but normally when I hear it, it means my team lost. But that's besides the point. They have a 1.5 game lead over the San Francisco Giants for the third wild card spot. They're actually in the second wild card spot. They have a 2.5 game lead over the aforementioned Diamondbacks for the final wild card spot. So the Cubs are going to make the playoffs, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hopefully one Chicago team does.
Honestly, that'd be cool. Who would they play if the season ended today? The Braves would get a
Probably
bye.
the Braves.
No,
No, it wouldn't be the Braves.
The Braves and Dodgers would each have a bye, right? Or is that no? It's just the Braves. No,
I don't even know how it works anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
no, I don't. Maybe there is no bye. Maybe I'm tweaking. The Braves would play the Giants. The Doyers would play the Cubs, and the Brew Crew would play Philly.
Dodgers, Cubs. That's
Unless
always.
I'm thinking, I swear there's a bye. Atlanta and Dodgers might get a bye, and the Brew Crew would play the Giants, and Philly would play the Cubs.
Let me ask you a question, though, Vin. Can anybody beat the Philadelphia Phillies? They are right now, in my opinion, the best team in baseball, and it's not close.
Yeah, I mean, that's a take. That certainly is a take.
Right now. And that's what needs to happen because, as you are very well aware of, a team needs to get firing on all cylinders towards the end of the season. The Phillies right now are unfreaking stoppable.
And that would be the Cubs' first-round matchup. I did just confirm.
Yeah.
That would be the Cubs' first-round matchup. The Brew Crew would play the Giants. Philly would play the Cubs. Atlanta and the Dodgers would have a bye in the NL. Baltimore and Seattle would have, even though the Braves have a better record than Seattle, they're a wild card team, so it doesn't matter. The Braves and Seattle would have a bye, and then the Twins would play the Rangers. The Rays would play the Astros. That's really awesome.
It's a good series.
All of these are pretty awesome. But Phillies, Cubs, man, I would probably pick the Phillies unbiasedly. But honestly, Joe, it wouldn't shock me if the Cubs pulled off an upset over any of these teams, including the Braves. They're right there for as hot. They're both 7-3 in their last 10. The Phillies have 3 more in the win column, 3 less in the loss column. But I think the Phillies have a little more firepower in terms of their pitching. And then Bryce Harper, what he's done to come back and play first base, because he probably isn't healthy enough to play in the outfield, but he's healthy enough to swing the shit out of his bat. And just to play first base. I said the same thing about Bellinger, but Harper's a little bit different. He's like a bona fide megastar.
Philly was insane
last year, though. Philly did it last year, though. And that's why I think they probably have the edge.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, there's going to be a lot of fun baseball the rest of the way, except from the White Sox. That's going to be boring. But
yeah, that's going to be mega boring. I'd like to see Miami sneak in. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They're falling off a little bit. But Ravi says I'd walk him every time. But yeah, but then you got to face there's Trey Turner and Castellanos and frickin' Schwarber. Schwarber's having the worst season of all time. No player in Major League Baseball history has ever hit 40 home runs and had a negative WAR in the same season.
He pretty much had identical stats. They were showing last year versus this year, Vin. I saw a comparison, and to this point of the season, it's almost identical.
That's funny. I mean, Schwarber's like living proof that batting average, unless you're like a leadoff guy or a 9-hitter, batting average is just a bullshit stat that makes no sense in the year 2023. Like, I get why people were so obsessed with it back in the day because, like, yeah, however many times you go up to bat, however many times you get a hit out of those times matters. But, like, at some point, the guy with 40 home runs and 110 RBIs has to matter, regardless.
It's a purist stat.
Yeah, which I get it. I like it for a Tim Anderson, right? Or a Nick Madrigal or a Nico Horner. Those guys need to have good batting averages, but I'd rather have them good base percentages. Fucking Foster's here. Good to see you. But yeah, I like Schwarber. Schwarber versus Cubs in the playoffs too. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's been weirder things that have happened.
Absolutely. Joe, before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Bears. You pumped?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I am. I'm pumped up for this division. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but I think this division is going to be really good as opposed to what most people think. I think it's Detroit's division to lose, but I think the Bears are going to be good enough to the point where they can probably sneak in with a wild card spot. You're hearing it here first, Vin. The Detroit Lions will beat the Kansas City Chiefs next Thursday.
Wow.
They are without their best defensive player, who's still in a holdout.
That's insane, Joe. I like the pick. Maybe
it's
I'll
going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout.
I'll play it. I had $20 in my DraftKings account. I know that's not a lot of money, but it was for a fight that was back in like July or something. And the kid that went to St. Viator, he was fighting in AMA or whatever it is now.
Yeah.
And I bet on him to win, the kid from Viator, Italian kid, super dago. And then there was another like more well-known fighter going. I bet on the well-known guy too in a different fight. He won me 10. I place little fun bets, like it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
But then the kid from Viator lost, so I, lost that. So I broke even and had the 20s left over. And I'm like, I'm saving this for football. Maybe I'll sprinkle a little something on the Lions and see if I can get some good odds there.
You should, man. I just happened to pull up DraftKings myself just so I could take a look at it, Vin. But right now the Lions are plus 6.5, and the over/under is 54. So if you want to make a little money, parlay the Lions plus 6.5 and the over. I think both of those are going to hit.
Hell yeah! I think I'm all in on this. So, yeah, that's
and then we got requests from Foster for a prediction for Bears Packers score. I know we still have another show before that, but I don't know, man. I think I might need another week to think about it.
Right now, I'll give a more accurate prediction. I think, I'll give a better prediction, I think, or a more final prediction as the game gets closer. But as of right now, I'm leaning Bears 28-22.
Yeah, I think the Bears are going to take it, but I think it's going to be by like a field goal at the end. I think it's going to be closer than people expect because Jordan Love, I think, is better than people expect. Watch, he gets like intercepted 4 times. Now that I say that,
well, I don't think Jordan Love is bad. I just don't think he's a superstar. I think he's like,
not Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
no, exactly. And the Packers have never succeeded with like a game manager type quarterback. There are game managers that, like, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Mitch Trubisky made it to the playoffs. Like, those types of guys can, succeed in the NFL. It just never has been with the Packers. The Packers have had a gunslinger for the last 35 years. So, Skylar wants to know if I'm ready for NIU to take on Jeff Sims again. Of course, he's talking about when they played Nebraska on the 16th. And I did see them beat Georgia Tech in person. I was in Atlanta. This was 2021, I want to say. And we went, no, it probably was it might have been 2019. I feel like that was pre-COVID. And they beat Georgia Tech, and it was like this crazy thing. Georgia Tech paid NIU all this money to come play them, and hopefully it'll be a nice little win for Georgia Tech. Nope, wrong. NIU wins. And the last time Nebraska played NIU, if I recall correctly, we won. So let's go Huskies. I am so ready for that, and I probably will be attending most of the games. As that one's got to be on the road. Yeah, that one's in Nebraska. I think I'm going to be at 90% of NIU's home games this season. So if you're a Husky football fan and you see me,
baby.
say what's up. Let's go Huskies. Really quick, Joe, ACC, huge news today.
Yeah, big stuff.
Huge news. They're adding on a couple teams. Let me know if I got this correctly. We have Stanford and SMU joining the ACC, which
and Cal.
behind...
And Cal.
Oh, and Cal. Cal's going too? Shit.
Yep.
So what happens with Oregon State and Washington State is the question.
I mean, obviously someone's going to be exiting at some point in the future. I mean, for now, these teams are going in. The interesting thing that I heard about this today, Vin, is that SMU is not taking any broadcasting money for 7 years.
Why?
But they just want to get in with the big dogs. And it's like a pounding your chest kind of move. It's like we want to get in with the big dogs. We don't even need that TV money for 7 years. Let us in. That's pretty badass.
The balls.
It's ballsy.
That's crazy. Damn, I did not hear that part. Man, that's crazy news, man. I can't get over what's happened to the Pac-12, man. I used to love the Pac-12. I mean, I'm still going to love those teams, but like that was my favorite. It was like once not the big boys, those are big boys, but once like the 6:00 games were over, like California sports saved my life. They really do. They make 9 p.m. from going to bed awesome. Like, yeah. I hope they find a way to be intriguing over there in the West because I need late night football. Oh yeah, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But I agree with you, Vin. I think there's some big changes. There's some teams that are probably going to be exiting the ACC. Probably, I'm assuming at the end of the season we'll hear about that. But yeah, for sure. Skylar says Pac-12 could have been pretty strong this year too. Yeah, I agree. I mean, USC might be. They still are the Pac-12 for this season, right? Mm-hmm. FSU's got to be leaving. I would imagine. FSU's got to be gone. I would think so. SEC though, no. Big 12 maybe, or do you think SEC? They would fit in the SEC. They got the right colors and the right culture. I think SEC, but I think either one is possible. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, USC this year, man. They could like really do some. I'm rooting for them personally, and I know they got Notre Dame halfway through the season. I wrote about it. I hope both teams. Notre Dame needs to sneak out a win against Ohio State, which I think they can in week 4, and then in week 7 when these two teams match up. If Notre Dame does pull off that win over Ohio State, we could be talking about 2 undefeated top 5 teams meeting in week 7. Like, sign me the F up for that. Yeah. I wish the playoffs started this year, the new format. That would have been awesome. I know. Because, but you know what? It's going to be great next year, too, because it's just getting better and better. And, like, the more at-large teams that we could get in this thing, I think will be good. I wish, as an NIU guy, they would have made it as the at-large group of 5 team, in 2014. Or 2000, whatever those years were, where they were the best group of 5 team in the country. Now they suck, but they could get back to that. I'm confident they could get back to that. They have that resume. So, but hell yeah, man, I love college football. I can't wait for Saturday, dude. NIU, Boston College, let's go. A lot of good games this weekend, man. Absolutely. Completely ignore the White Sox and all the bullshit that's going on with them, except you go read on SouthsideShowdown.com. Please do it. Put food in my mouth. Clearly, I need more food. Everyone does. Yeah. But then to Windy City, I'm covering the Cubs too. We got a whole ass playoff run. I'm on your guys' side right now. Except for the Jaguars. The Jags, man. 3-0 in the preseason. That doesn't matter. results-wise, but it does tell me for 3 straight games you were better than the other team with all of your units on the field. And I do think that's a positive. And then after what happened last year, it's hard to think about them not being awesome. They play the Colts in week 1, who have a rookie quarterback, no Jonathan Taylor to start. I mean, the Jags, they're sitting okay right now, and I love Trevor Lawrence.
And Taylor's on the PUP list, so he won't play for at least 4 games.
Yeah, so take the Colts out of it. No elite running back, rookie quarterback. First new head coach. Then you got the Texans. No, it's really just the Titans who might pose a small threat, but I don't love their quarterback play, especially now. So
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it might be the Jags by default, but once they beat the Chargers in the playoffs. So, they already kind of proved they're more than just their bad division wonder. Now it's time to take that next step. They only lost to the Chiefs by 7. You think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Lions in week 1? I hope not, for 2 reasons. When I bet on it, though, I'm going to hope for it. But I want the Lions to lose, give the Bears an edge if they can beat Green Bay. Because don't say it doesn't matter. It's a short season in terms of total games played. It absolutely matters. And the Jags play the Chiefs week 2. And I think Chiefs coming off a loss to the Lions against the Jags is dangerous for the Jags. So we'll see what happens.
Chiefs could easily start the season 0-2, man.
I know. They could.
Especially if they don't get their defense together. Then their best defensive player in a holdout, and they're not even great with him. Imagine without him, they're pretty bad.
Yeah. I'll let everyone else shit on the Chiefs, which totally
the defense. I'll shit on the defense of the Chiefs, but not the offense.
But I'm saying people are going to get tired of them and start to hate them because there's a lot of winning coming their way in the next decade. Like they'll probably win another Super Bowl or 2, I would think, and everyone is going to hate them like they did the Patriots.
Well, that's the thing though, Vin, is like they could have a terrible defense because they could just outscore the other team.
Exactly. And people are going to, if they win the Super Bowl again by next year, everybody's going to hate them even more. But fan side, it is very much a Chiefs site. That is our most important team by far. I honestly think if I can rank teams in a Big 4 sports from first to last and most important for the brand, the Chiefs would be number 1 by far. It started as a Chiefs blog. And it has been embraced. Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's not Chiefs Kingdom. It's Arrowhead Addict. Arrowhead Addict is by far our most popular site.
Yeah. So. No, and then it's gonna be a fun season for sure. Lots of coverage. But I will say one more thing about that game next Thursday, Vin.
Lay it on me.
It's the Jahmyr Gibbs coming out party. I'll leave it at that.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna beat you to him in the Guillotine League draft. Just kidding. We haven't set a date for that.
Yes, we have.
When is it?
It's Wednesday at 8:00 Central, I think.
Cool. I will be ready.
Yeah, me too, man.
All right, guys. It was a very fun show. To everybody in the chat, we got Ravi. We've got Skylar. We've got Foster. We've got
Swift Sports Network.
Swift. What up, Swift? They're all the way up there. We got Joe Mandel. We got Vinnie Parise. We got all the people watching that didn't comment. We appreciate you very much. This is going to go on twitter.com. If you missed the beginning of it, if you missed any portion of it, you could go back and watch it on either YouTube, Twitter. You could listen to it on Spotify or Apple. Please, the Barroom Network loves when you guys listen, and we love you guys back. We got football season coming up. We got college football this weekend and fantasy football goon returning next weekend, the following Sunday.
The Sunday before season. So, yeah, next Sunday we will be back before kickoff, roughly 10:45 Central Time to get you guys ready with those lineups. And don't forget, this Labor Day, Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time, we will be doing the Barroom Network Fantasy Draft live here. Don't miss it. All your favorite Barroom personalities will be there. It's going to be a blast, so do not miss it, baby.
Get in and do that shit. We will see you then. For me, that's it. Till Monday. I'm going to try and sneak in a little bit on I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to make it to the stream for that. I know it's Labor Day and everybody's got lots of plans, but I should be able to make it in on that. So my next appearance on the Barroom Network will be on Monday. But for all the great people who will be on between now and then, you need to tune in and watch all of it. And then Bar Down next Wednesday. Hockey's heating up. There's hockey in September. We made it. Then football, baseball, playoffs, all right here on Crosstown Crosstalk. So make sure you tune in each and every week. We will see you again at at an eventual time. And as always, for Joe Mandel, I'm Vinnie Parise. Thank you for listening.
Another happy landing.